Lost up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories. They were lost up in no man's land, the Martin Hartwell story.
Hey Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies, it's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. Today we are going to revisit the topic of survival kits. So if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, or you just happen to watch all of the videos I've made on survival kits, this may be familiar to you. It's the Mark I version of my primary survival kit. Now, incidentally, I am going to be revisiting this survival kit fairly soon, as I've made a number of additions, deletions, and substitutions since I filmed the video on this kit back in March 2020. Check the description if you want to watch the original video on this survival kit. Now, that said, we're here to talk about another survival kit that I recently made. Now, the primary survival kit comes with me when I know I'm going to places that if something bad happens, I'm going to need it. This kit, which I have poetically dubbed the mini survival kit, exists as sort of a stopgap. It stays in the Jeep at all times and is available if I happen to find myself unexpectedly in a bad spot and may need to spend a day or two before I can self-extract or I'm found. Anyway, enough of the preamble, let's get into it. Now, the 4 pillars of survival that most people would agree upon are water, shelter, food, and fire. Now, as this is a short-term kit, I decided that I'm really only going to address water, shelter, and fire in this kit. We all know that you can go several weeks without food, so I'm making the decision to prioritize those other 3 pillars, though food is going to make an appearance in this kit. Also, I made it a goal to reuse everything of value I had from other survival kits, so nothing new would be purchased for this kit. Now, if you've watched those previous videos, you have seen virtually everything in this kit. Now, first, the container itself. If you've watched those survival kit videos that I produced, then this will probably be familiar to you. It's the pouch that the $115 survival kit came in, a kit which incidentally I thought was pretty good. Since I stripped a lot of the stuff out of that kit for my primary, this pouch was just basically sitting around, so hey, why not use it? Next is the knife. Now, again, if you watch my videos, you may remember this as the knife from the March 2020 Big D Bag review. Now, I caught a lot of flack in that video for basically dismissing the concept and the utility of neck knives. I maintain that I still don't particularly care for neck knives. That said, this is a decent knife. It's solid, full tang, and compact. I may replace this knife sometime in the future with something like a multi-tool, but for now it'll do the job. So there you go. The neck knife got its revenge. It's back. Now, let's get into the kit. I'm going to divide it into 4 broad areas. Water, fire, shelter, and what I call supporting equipment. It is important to note that all of the choices that I've made for this kit are informed by the fact that this is meant to be a short-term kit. Okay, starting with water. For water collection and storage, I have a 1-liter platypus bag. It's pretty strong, and I bought a few to test for my primary survival kit. I went with water treating in this kit rather than filtration as my primary means of cleaning water. So I have 6 water purification tabs, which will give me 6 liters of water. I also have a coffee filter to filter out the worst of the sediment during collection. And in a pinch, this bag can also be used for water collection and storage. Finally, I also tossed in this water carrier that allows you to sling the bottle on your belt. This thing can disappear if I need the room in the kit. Okay, next up is fire. I have 10 UCO water and windproof storm matches, as well as a few strikers for them. There's also a small bag of several kinds of tinder, including these small cubes, some cotton tabs, and a piece of wet fire. Finally, I have a reasonably beefy ferro rod and striker. Okay, for shelter, it's pretty basic. You got your standard Mylar emergency blanket. It's nothing fancy. It's largely there for heat retention and for whatever cover it can provide from the elements. And you can, of course, use the shiny side in order to signal. Okay, now here's where we get to what I refer to as supporting equipment. Now, I know I say I would be mostly ignoring food for this kit, but I do have 6 packets of beef bouillon, mostly for some sodium and comfort, and a sizable piece of aluminum foil that you can make an ad hoc pot to boil water and the bouillon. Of course, in a pinch, you can also use the shinier side to signal as well. Orange whistle for signaling, that I've said. A rather sizable candle that you can use to help start make fires or provide some heat or light in a small space. 15 feet of cordage, and I love this stuff. It has 7 coarse strands, but also in the sheath it has 10-pound fishing line and fire tinder jute in it, so it's actually a multi-purpose line. That's great. Orange marking tape, mark a path, the location of your camp, whatever you want. 13 inches of duct tape. Normally I would put more, but as I said earlier, I was building a kit out of the remains of other kits, so this is good for equipment repairs, ad hoc bandages, whatever else you can think of. A nail and some twist ties could come in useful. A bit more cordage, another twist tie, and 2 small fishing hooks. Again, I did say that I wasn't really touching food as a priority, but with the fishing line in the survival cord, you could conceivably catch fish. A decent as they go wire saw. I don't much care for them, but if you need to cut some wood, it is certainly better than nothing. A few band-aids for cuts and scrapes. I may augment this by adding some pain relievers. Sewing needle, brass wire, and some thread. Again, it may come in useful. I, on record, having said I consider snaring animals to be a dubious plan if you don't know how to do it going in, but you could also use the brass wire for equipment repair. A small flashlight, not the brightest in the world, but it does illuminate fairly well. You can't see it because I have really bright lights on in here, obviously. Finally, a button compass. I know. Okay, if you've watched any of the reviews of the garbage survival kits that I did before, you know I am no fan of button compasses. That has not changed. That said, the button compasses in those kits tended to be awful. This one was made to a higher standard for whatever it's worth. Ultimately, though, it is a backup. Whenever I do outdoorsy stuff, I do tend to be wearing my Casio G-Shock Mudmaster, which actually has an accurate compass built in. This button compass is here only as a last ditch. So there you are, my always in the Jeep mini survival kit. I think it does a reasonable job of addressing 3 out of the 4 pillars of survival, with food gathering in there is lower on the list, but still possible. You've got multiple ways to signal, some useful little tools to make life a little easier for at least a few days. Now, I know that some people are going to respond that an Altoids tin style kit is even smaller and more likely to be in your pocket in the scenario that I'm basing this kit on, but I've never been a believer in the real efficacy of those kits. Your mileage may be different. This kit could easily fit in a pair of cargo pants pocket or a shorts pocket, or it can hang off your belt without issue. It weighs very little and it won't get in the way. At any rate, that's it, the mini survival kit. I, as always, hope you found the video at least vaguely entertaining and or informative. You liked what I put in mine? Hated what I put in it? Have suggestions? Feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, I hope you enjoy your time in the great outdoors and stay safe out there. Take care. Bye.
Lost Up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories, they were lost. Up in no man's land, the Martin Hartwell story.